Welcome back friends, this is Ram here and it's 21 tutorial on JavaFX 8. In this tutorial we are going to see table and database connection with the example of how to add a database data into a table. So let's start. I'm going to use the previous example where we have added a date into the database. Now in this tutorial, this is the 21st table and database, and I'm going to change now the layout of the scene, say width 1000 and height 600. Next I'm going to add a table into the program so that we can add the database entries into the table. So I'm going to use the tutorial 20th some code to write a table. So I'm going to copy the table code from tutorial 12. I will copy this and paste in the new program and fix the imports. Next I'm going to delete this because it's not of any use. And this too. So table column 1. Now we are going to add 4 more columns for we are going to add this table into our second scene. So we are going to add these 4 columns, 7 columns: ID, first name, last name, email, username, password and the date of birth. So I'm going to add some more columns. So I will copy this and once again I will paste it here. Again one more column I needed, so copy this and say I will paste it here. Now I will rename, say, column 1 for ID, say column 1, and set the width, minimum width 20 and property value factory ID. For more detail of this you can refer tutorial 12 on table column 2 for first name, say 2, table column 3 for last name, and I will change its minimum width to 80. The next is column 4 for email, so 4 for email. Next is the column 6, so 5 and 5. I will change this to that it is minimum width 150. Again it's say 80. Column 5 for username. Next say here also a username Now this is the sixth column for password. And change the property value to password, and minimum width say 80, and the column number 7 for date of birth, and say it's 70. Rename this also, say date of birth I will. Next I'm going to add these columns to the table, so I will once again copy this and say 4, 5, 6 and column 7. So the error is because of user class. We have to create a user class in this application. So I'm going to copy the user class. So this is the 12th tutorial from where we have created a user class for the first name, last name and email. Now I'm going to copy this user class in our current application. So go to the project, go to your source folder where you have created a class for a table, and you can copy this and paste in the current application. Now I'm going to open the new. So this is the user class which we have copied from the tutorial 12. So I will close that. So this is our current class. Now I'm going to add some more fields for other columns. So I'm going to copy once again and say it's a username, say it's a password and a date of birth. And one more field for ID. Now next, so we have to add the same in the constructor. So rename with the username, password and date of birth, and one more field, that is ID. And say ID for me, first name, last name, male, here I will say username and say password, and I will say here say date of birth. Now we have to create a class get and setter method for the user class. So once again I will copy this and paste. Say this is for username, this is for password, and it's for date of birth. And change the variables to say username next is the password, then a date of birth, and I will copy once again for ID. Next is the setter methods. So I will copy once again. Now change this set methods, say for username, here for password, next is for date of birth, and change the here use it's a username, change here with username, then next is the password, and here a DOB, date of birth. And create a one more field for ID. So in the set method I will set one more field for the ID. Here is ID, and here is ID. Change this to ID. Now this ID becomes the same of these variables for setter method. So ID, first name, last name, email. For username it's username, then password, and lastly date of birth. Now this is the error because of we have to add some more strings for ID, username, password, and date of birth. So I will copy this and say this is the username, say this for password, and it's for date of birth, and copy one more, and say it as ID. So the all errors are gone now. Now save this class and come back to our application class. Now the error for the user class has been gone. So save this to next. So we have created table and a list, observable list for the number of users. Then we have created the 7 columns for 7 column fields which is in the database. We have added these all columns in the table. Next is we are going to save and run. Whether before that we are going to set this table in the our layout, that is in the border pane. We have created a border pane layout of for a second scene of 1000 by 600 dimensions. So I'm going to add this table in the second scene. So to add that, so we have created a variable for second scene layout dot set that is the problem of spelling mistake. So dot set right. So I'm going to set the table in the right. Next is I'm going to add some padding for the border. So for the table, so border pane dot set margin and say for table it's a new inserts with the values, say 0 from the top, 10 from the right, 10 from 0 from the bottom and 10 from the left. Say 10 from the bottom and 10 from the left, or we can go for 0 directly. Now save this and check whether the tables is in the second scene or not. So I'm going to run this for so initial password is Raman. So this is our second scene where we have added tables with the ID, first name, last name, email, username, password, database columns, and now we are going to fetch the database contents into the table. So I'm going to close this and add one more button to load the database contents into the table. So button say load equals to new button and say label load table, and I'm going to copy the some font and action for the button. So rename this button with load, so it will be set the font and font size. Next, load for set on action, and now in the set on action method I am going to write some one try catch block to fetch the database content. So try catch and exception, say e2, and in the exception I'm going to write system dot error dot println with error. Now I'm going to write some query for to insert the data into table. So string query equals to say select asterisk for all, select all from user database. So this is the our table name from our database. So this is the our table for user database. Now next I'm going to prepare a connection. So pst equals to con dot prepare a connection prepare statement next is I'm going to execute the query. So rs equals to pst dot execute the query. So next I'm going to fetch the database content. So while rs dot, so it will be copy the all database content when it is in the next row, always in the next row, and say data. So I'm going to use this observable list to store the database content into a observable list, and observable list is using to load that data into a table. So data dot add and say new user, and I'm going to add some. So rs get string and say first column ID, comma. Now I'm going to add this for more 6 times. So next is first name, then last name, then email, then for username, then for password and date of birth. So next we have added these fields, so we are going to copy the database data using these fields. Now we are going to add this data into the table. So table dot set items and set items of the observable list of data. Then next I'm going to close the connection, so pst close, then rs dot close. Now next save this, and now we are going to add this button to the second scene such that we can load the table. Now I'm going to add one more layout to add the button. So hbox, say hbox equals to new hbox with the spacing within the children element 5. Fix the import for hbox, right click and fix the import. Now hbox, I'm going to add the button children element, that is load button, into the hbox. So get children dot add and say button load. And now I'm going to add this hbox in the border pane. So to do that, so layout dot, and I'm going to set the load button in the bottom. So set bottom with hbox. Now, and I'm going to add some margin for the button. So border pane dot set margin for the hbox which contains a load button. Say new insets and set the values 10 from the top and 0 from the right, 10 from the bottom and 10 from the left. Now save this and run once again. So initial username and password is Ram, login. Now we have added a load button and table. Now I'm going to click on table load table button, and that will copy the database data, that is these 5 columns, into the table. So load table. Now you can see these fields are added, but there is one problem with the last name field. We have done somewhere wrong, so I'm going to check. Go to the tutorial 14 and ID, first name, last name, email, username, password and date of birth. This is all right. Then so this is the problem. Set for 7 column and save this. The error because of we have added here a column 3, so it is passing this value to the column 3, that is to the last name. Now run once again. And load a table. So now we have corrected the mistake, and you can see the ID, first name, last name, email, username, password and date of birth field. And you can change the table size like this, and these are the 5 users with their info which we have added in this table. Now I'm going to add one menu button for the table. So here table dot set table menu button true, and save this and run. Run once again. So this is the table. So we have added one menu button in the table. So this is the menu button where we can see the check menu items. So if we want only, we don't want the username and password field, just click on the username and password field and it will show you only the wanted or selected tables, selected columns in the table. Or you can go for, if you don't want a date of birth, so and such that you can add or remove some columns. So this is the 21st tutorial on JavaFX, where we have seen how to add table from database content. So this is the database contents. If you have any question about this tutorial, ask me in a comment section, or you can mail me on my email ID alapureram@gmail.com. And finally, if you really like my work, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching this video. See you in the next tutorial.